Espinosa Blanco fancies it. Oh, I say! What a stunning strike! Almiron! Oh, yes!
The kick from Valeri! Golazo!
Bresso, Almiron, lot of time. Almiron!
All right, Atlanta, we're coming to you for MLS Cup 2018.
Welcome to Atlanta. Welcome to the 23rd MLS Cup. The countdown clock is ticking down as we prepare for Major League Soccer's 2018 season finale. Atlanta United are heavy favorites, but the traveling Timbers Army knows their sunshine can pierce even the cloudiest day. And make no mistake, it is miserable outside in Atlanta, near freezing rain for the majority of this Saturday. But here, inside Mercedes-Benz Stadium, it's nice and cozy. Today, we crown a champion. Welcome to MLS Cup Central. Welcome to Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I am Andrew Wiebe. This is Matt Doyle, Bobby Warshaw. We've been taking you through the 2018 Audi MLS Cup playoffs, and here we are, guys. The payoff, what we've all been waiting for. And Bobby, let's get you to start it here. What are you looking for?
Well, you can't come to Mercedes-Benz Stadium or Atlanta without talking about the 70,000 people who are going to be here. And this is a city that deserves this occasion. The financial investment of the ownership, the emotional investment of the fans, it is a group of people and a city that deserves this occasion. On the field, there are going to be special moments tonight, whether it's a save, whether it's a goal, whether it's a move. I'm excited to see who does that big moment and how it comes.
The Eagles win one Super Bowl and you go soft talking about this town deserves this, blah, blah, blah. No, like, I'm happy for them as well. Like you said, it's going to be 70,000 people just over our shoulder and about 100,000 right in front of us, it feels like. But you know me, it's tactics. I am most interested in seeing what both coaches bring to the tables because there's special players out there and they've been making special plays throughout the postseason. But what this game comes down to so often for me is which coach sets their team up better. Both Tata Martino, Gio Savarese with some real choices to make.
We're going to get into the lineups in just a little bit.
Let's do it now.
Into the tactics.
Let's do it now, Evie.
No, they've got to wait. This is what I'm looking forward to since you guys didn't ask. You're a nerd guy. I'm a narrative guy. I'm a soap opera guy, and there is drama for days in this game. Tata Martino, Miggy, this is their last game. Maybe for Miggy, for sure for Tata. How will it pay off? Atlanta's history in championship games. It's the elephant in the room, 28-3. I've heard that probably 100 times this week. Meanwhile, the Timbers Army is here, and they're not very happy about not having their drums, not having the numbers they wanted, but they will be very happy if they win their second MLS Cup on the road in 4 years. All right, here's what's coming up on MLS Cup Central. The Argentine influence. Oh, there is a massive one in this game, and Susanna Collins will dig into that with us. Tata's last game is, of course, coming up. We got to get some thoughts on that. David Goss and Jillian Sakovits have been covering both these teams all week. We got some pregame interviews coming for you, and we've got special guests galore. Dax McCarty, Charlie Davies, Nat Borchers, Dan Gargan, all coming up. Don't go anywhere. Hit that share button, folks. But first, how'd they get here? How'd they do it? The Portland Timbers in the knockout round. Diego Valeri, 4 goals in the playoffs.
Yeah, that guy.
Dallas, Seattle, Sporting Kansas City, all left in the dust.
Yeah, when you have the best player on the field for almost every game, which is what Diego Valeri is, you're going to win a lot of games, but it hasn't been a one-man show. And you saw Jeremy Abobasi in a couple of those highlights. This guy right here, Sebastian Blanco, has arguably been an even bigger star in these playoffs than Valeri. And they've come together as a team and found special moments, including from that man. Dairon, and Dairon.
Who is the best playoff striker of all time?
Oh, he's such a legend right there. Win the series, do a little dance. I mean, they have found guys to give them answers.
When you hear Savarese talk about his team, he doesn't usually talk about any tactical nuance. He talks about the cohesion. He talks about the fighting spirit they have as a group, and that's what we've seen in every single game. If you look at some of the underlying numbers at expected goals, they haven't often been the best team on the field, but they've been able to do two things. They've been able to get incredible goals from Sebastian Blanco, from Diego Valeri, and then they've been able to hang on at the end through just pure grit in their own 18 and finding ways to grind out results, and that's enough in the playoffs, those two things, to be able to get to this point.
Did it on the road against Kansas City to get here. Now they got to do it on the road against Atlanta United, who Yeah, in Tata they trust. We are looking forward to the tifo today, by the way, but they had heartbreak on the last day of the regular season, Bobby. Decision day did not go their way, but then they've run rampant through both sides of New York to get here.
They absolutely did. On decision day, they lose to Toronto, but not just that, they lose Supporter Shield. But they come back in the first game of the playoffs. They go to perhaps the toughest place to play in Major League Soccer, Yankee Stadium, and they win. And then they go in the second leg, and they smash NYCFC, and then they do it again against Red Bulls. This is a team that has regained their form now at just the right time.
Hold on. He's back!
Yeah,
3 goals in the playoffs.
I mean, that's it. Like, he was soft down the stretch in the regular season. He was getting marked out of games. He had lost a scoring touch. He has not been soft in the playoffs. He dominated NYCFC. He got that key goal against the Red Bulls. Joseph Martinez playing like that. And then these guys like Hector Villalba coming off the bench to score bangers. And, of course, Miguel Almiron being healthy, being able to get out there and give him 90 minutes, Bobby.
But if you haven't watched this Atlanta United team since the summer, you might not recognize the one that's been playing in the playoffs. They are now a little bit more defensive-minded, a little bit more conservative, and a little bit more direct. But going back to your original point, Matthew, is that how they're going to play tonight?
There's a big question mark there. You saw Michael Parkhurst lifting the Eastern Conference Championship trophy. He has done that 4 times. He has lost MLS Cup every single time. It is now his opportunity to buck history, to make sure he's not the one. 5 losses in 5 tries. The attendance record tonight, yeah, that's going to get blown out of the water. 61,316, way back in 2002.
I hope tonight's a lot better.
Oh my!
That was not one of the prettier
ancient
MLS
history
Cups.
here.
Yeah.
We have a relic on set. 70,000 plus. We know that is coming. You guys have been here for the All-Star game. You have not been here for a 5 stripes game. What are you looking forward to?
I mean, like we said at the top, it's 70,000 people who have completely bought in. And Atlanta was not always known as that kind of town for professional sports. And there were some worries that like maybe they won't embrace the team, but it seems to be the one team that everybody in the town rallies around. And we've seen it with Lyft drivers or cab drivers. We've seen it people at bars. And it's cross-cultural as well. It's every part of Atlanta is here for this.
I saw a great tweet from Atlanta United reporter and fan Joe Patrick this morning saying, as you get older, you lose some of those special moments in life. You know, you don't believe in Santa Claus anymore, but sports give you those moments. And everyone that's going to be in this stadium, everyone around the city of Atlanta woke up with a pit in their stomach because they are so excited. I'm looking forward to being a part of that collective mood with the city of Atlanta tonight.
He just broke news. Santa Claus isn't real.
Oh,
I can't believe
come
that,
on.
Bobby.
Children are watching this Bobby Warshaw. By the way, a lot of people are going to have broken hearts as well because they're not getting in. 70,000 sounds like a lot, but my Uber driver wanted tickets. The guy outside the stadium wanted tickets. Everybody wants tickets to this big game, and you know what? It might be raining. It might be miserable outside. They don't care. They are packing Mercedes-Benz Stadium. The game is going to be a treat. But what about the pregame? Susanna Collins caught up with the viral sensation who's going to be singing the national anthem.
Okay, so it's MLS Cup week, and we're so excited to see stars like Diego Valeri and Joseph Martinez on the field, but this is the star that I am so excited to spend time with, Malaya Emma. She's going to be singing the national anthem ahead of the final. Malaya, it is so wonderful to meet you. Thank you so much for talking with me today. I have to ask you, we were so blown away with your rendition of the national anthem at the Galaxy game. What has the last few months been like for you?
It's been very exciting because I get to meet lots of other people because I have lots of other performances.
Okay, so we are at the World of Coca-Cola, but we're gonna have some fun here today, right? Mm-hmm. And you've gotten to see so many cool places, and now we're in a very cool place in Atlanta. Do you wanna go check this out with me?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, let's go do it. Okay, Malaya, I have to ask you, do you get nervous before you sing?
Yes.
How do you get rid of the nerves? What do you think about?
Well, I just sing and then I do what I'm supposed to do in the performances, then it just goes away.
Tell me what you will do to prepare. Do you do vocal warm-ups?
Yes.
Okay, tell me, like, what are some of the vocal warm-ups that you do? Like little scales, up and down? Do you kind of, that kind of thing. Can you do one for me that I can practice too? Ooh, how is that?
Yeah.
Is that good? And then you just kind of keep going up the scales?
Mm-hmm.
Who are your musical idols? Who would you love, love, love to sing with?
Christina Aguilera.
Oh, she's one of my favorites too. She's so good. Malaya, did you know that Christina Aguilera performed at halftime at a MLS game before? So, yeah. So she's done this before, and you are going to sing the national anthem. So how cool is that? You have an automatic Christina connection.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for doing this interview. I can't wait to hear you tomorrow. You're gonna crush it. 72,000 fans, they're all gonna be cheering for you, and I'm gonna be cheering the loudest, okay?
World
All
of
right, I'll see you
Coke.
tomorrow, sweetie. Thank you so much.
It's the World of Coke, but there are so many attractions here in Atlanta, and yeah, the aquarium is getting in the spirit. Look at this guy.
You're afraid of the water. Let the viewers know. Weavy is afraid of fish.
Kansans are not good in the ocean, but I can deal with aquariums because you're behind the glass. Inside the glass, though, apparently the Portland Timbers and Atlanta United. And here you see in the stadium, it is crowded. It is incredible. This is going to be, I would argue, the best atmosphere in MLS Cup history. The home fans are ready. The Portland Timbers are ready. Dax McCarty is ready. You know him from earlier in the playoffs hanging out with us. Dax, welcome, man.
Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, so we see the hoopla. We see what's going on around us. I think back to Toronto 2010. There was not this hoopla. How does it feel to be at an MLS Cup that feels like this?
Yeah, it's truly incredible. The buzz in the city, I mean, I think we've talked about it ad nauseum now for 2 years. Atlanta's changing the dynamic on how we view American fandom. They're doing big things, and I think an MLS Cup final is perfect for these fans. They're going to put on a spectacle.
I have a question for you that I think every 20 and 30-something around the country wants to know. When you go into a big occasion like MLS Cup, is the after celebration already planned? Is that something you think about? I know you didn't get to do it, but how does that
Thanks,
work?
man. You know, you really know how to turn the screw there, buddy. It is pre-planned. You know, you have the beverages on ice for those that are of age, 21. But yeah, I mean, look, you always want to go into a big game with the mentality that you are going to win and you are going to celebrate. You are going to get those champagne showers, you're going to get those beer showers, and you're going to celebrate one of the finer moments of your life. So everyone has to plan for that. No one goes into a big game saying, well, we probably should just keep the bevies away until the game's over.
So if I led you down to the locker rooms right now and gave you the opportunity to tell those guys either a regret or some advice about this game, maybe the emotional side of it, what would you say?
Hold nothing back. Season's over. This is the last game of the season. You're playing the biggest game of your life, biggest game of your career for most of these guys. And what I would tell them is, don't take it for granted because these moments do not come around often. I played in one MLS Cup final in 13 years. Don't make fun of me, all right? And we lost, and now I haven't been back. And it's very difficult to get back. In professional sports, getting to finals sometimes is the hardest part. Playing in it's sometimes the easy part.
Hold nothing back, but at the same time, I think this game's going to be a little bit cagey, don't you think? Like
100%.
Portland's not going to come out and meet them at midfield. They're going to hold that deep block.
I'll put it like this. Portland is going to play exactly the way that the New York Red Bulls played in the first leg, but they're going to do it better because that is what their motto is. That is what they are built on. I think Gio Savarese has done a fantastic job with this team in terms of creating an identity for them. That identity is we're going to sit deep, we're going to absorb pressure, we're going to defend well, and we're going to let our best players be our best players and win games for us. And what have we seen throughout the entire playoffs? Blanco, Valeri, change games. Your best players have to play well, and those guys have done it the whole season and in the playoffs.
Flip side, Joseph and Miggy, two of the best players this league has ever seen. When you think about Atlanta, and you think about what they put together in 2 years, now let's imagine that they win this thing, that they win MLS Cup in just their second season. In your mind, would that make them the best single-season team in MLS history?
No, it wouldn't.
Nope.
No, it wouldn't, because we have to look at the totality of what you won, right? And if they would have won the Supporter Shield, you could make that argument that they would be up there with the Toronto FCs and the LA Galaxies. I still think this Atlanta team should be considered one of the best teams ever assembled in MLS history, but I would almost argue that there's more pressure on them now because they are hosting a final and they lost a Supporter Shield on the last day of the season. There is more pressure on them now with Miguel Almirón possibly leaving, Tata Martino definitely leaving. Yeah. What is those guys' legacies going to be? This game is their legacy right here.
I think this game is their legacy, and I agree with everything you just said. There's no way this is the best team in MLS history because at best they've only won one title, right? But they have changed the dynamic in terms of what type of manager you go after, how much you can sell a player for, how you build a team that engages the city. You don't need a David Beckham. It turns out fans get just as excited about young, hungry guys from the Americas who want to use this as a stop on their way to the biggest leagues in the world.
And let's not forget about the old American guys, my boys in here, the Michael Parkhursts, the Jeff Larentowitzes. These are guys that are essential to have as a part of a winning team. If you don't have guys like this, guys with experience, guys that have played in the league, guys that know what it takes to win, then you can have all the good young players in the world that you want, but you're still not going to have a little special something that is needed to win in this league.
It'll be particularly important in the first few minutes. All the emotions taking place. You might have a small decision, Dax, you can speak to this a little bit more, but the ball comes to you. Do I try and connect a pass 15 yards, or do I say, not in the 4th minute, not in MLS Cup, and I just play it to the corner? Look for Michael Parkhurst and Jeff Larenowitz to set the tone early in the game.
Right, and those are guys that you want on the ball early, right? Because I can tell you from experience and playing in some big games, your heart is beating out of your chest sometimes. Guys will tell you all the time, no, I wasn't nervous, but you have butterflies. It's natural. Even the best players in the world, Champions League final, World Cup final, those guys have butterflies. Who can settle the game down the fastest? I personally think that this is perfect for Portland Timbers. They're going to start the game. They might come out high press for 5 minutes. They're going to settle into their shell, and they're going to wait. They're going to wait. They're going to do what they do best. Atlanta, they're going to want to try to play. I think they're going to feel pressure to try to play pretty soccer. They're on their home field in front of all these great fans. I think they're going to feel a little bit of pressure to try to play. If they make a mistake, could be trouble, because we know what happens when Portland gets a lead.
Atlanta's going to throw the kitchen sink for the first 20 minutes. I think that is going to be a high, hard press for them, like we haven't seen from them in 2018. And it's going to look more like the team they were last year in 2017.
Now, we're going to get Dax's prediction later on in the show, but I'm more interested in rooting interest. Are you a neutral in this game? Do you have something you're rooting for? Is there a team you're rooting for?
I'm pretty neutral in this game. I want to see a good
former
final.
Portland Timber, though.
For 1 hour. Thank you for bringing that up. I am. You know what? I don't have a rooting interest. I want to see a good game. I am a former Timber, but I just want to see a good final. We know how finals can be sometimes. Being in the East, playing in the East Coast, you know, the majority of my career now, do I want to see Atlanta United win it? I don't know.
All right, we shall see. The game is coming up, 8 p.m. Big Fox. Uni Mas. You can also watch it in Canada TVA and TSN Sports. Our own David Goss has been here all week covering the Portland Timbers. Let's check with him down on the field.
For these players about to take the field, winning an MLS Cup is the ultimate moment. It's what they've worked their whole lives for. But not just these players, for these fans, for these cities, for these clubs, winning MLS Cup changes everything.
I think the big difference after the 2015 championship, it was that feeling of our club to live the reality that you can do it, that it's possible having a good team with the supporters, with the organization, to fight against whoever.
I mean, it does really change. Yeah, it was my first cup, my first professional trophy. It was the first for Portland Timbers too, so it does change a lot because you give all those fans, all those people, you know, their first trophy too, and those are things that you're never gonna forget.
The first feeling was the final whistle go in and realising we'd won and started celebrating, and you know, being in the after the game with Nat in our pants celebrating and getting photos with the cup and singing Justin Bieber, and it carries on. It goes on for years, and it's something you always remember, and you know, it just makes it special.
MLS Cups mean everything, of course, and we're now with Nat Borchers, an MLS Cup champion with the Portland Timbers, now doing his thing on the sideline. You love Portland. What's this game? What's that title in 2015 mean to you, mean to the club?
Yeah, you always remember your first, you know, for a club, and that was such a special experience for us. We'd never won that before as a club, and the run we made, it was a season where we didn't play so well during the season, but it doesn't matter. Obviously, we got to the playoffs, and you know, we hit our stride and got to the final game, and it was on the road, and we did the work and got it done. It was a really special feeling.
How does it feel with this game? What's at stake for this team in this moment?
Yeah, it's different for them. Obviously, a different crew, but you still have some of the same players. You got Diego Valeri, you got Chara, you got Ridgewell, Villafana, Powell, and those guys obviously have experience in these big-time games. But obviously, you've got some different players: Sebastian Blanco, Andy Polo, Jeremy Ebobisi, guys who are going to have to step up, obviously, and do the work in this game.
Who's doing the talking in the locker room these days, making sure everybody's settled down, making sure everybody is locked in on the game? Is there one clear leader with this Portland group?
I think there's multiple leaders. You look at Liam Ridgewell. It's been an interesting season for him. Obviously, he's in the team earlier on, and then he's out of the team for a good stretch, and then he's back in the team. But he's a central figure. He's an important figure for this team defensively, getting that line up, organizing, making sure everybody's tight. But you also look at Diego Valeri as well. I think he's a guy. He's a quiet leader, but when he talks, guys are listening. So I think those two guys have really been vocal on this run.
You mentioned winning 2015 on the road, and it seems like the obvious answer here is that it's better to play a game at home, or at least it's more fun. Is it advantageous in some way to be on the road? Because then you don't have the pressure of the fans. You don't have to play a certain way. It's all about getting the result.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. Sometimes when we played in Portland, there's a lot of pressure on us because of that atmosphere, because of the Timbers Army. And then we would go on the road and we'd perform better just because there wasn't that pressure. And I think that this team is playing with it's house money right now.
Yeah.
They're the 5th seed. They obviously went on the road to beat Dallas in the knockout stages, and they weren't favored in Seattle. They weren't favored, against Kansas City, and look at them now. So I think it's an excellent position to be in. Not a lot of pressure.
Now, you do have to travel. I heard it was a little bit hairy on the flight in here.
You heard about it.
I heard about that.
Yeah, we had a nice little almost landing. Then we came back up. Apparently, there was another plane on the runway, so we had to divert, come back around, and it gave us a little bit of the heebie-jeebies.
Oh, boy.
But, we had an interesting, a similar situation in 2015, so it kind of portends to better things.
Maybe good omens there?
Yes, feeling good.
I don't know, man. That one's scary no matter what.
I'm not about that. Got to tell you. Now, let's talk center backs, because there's a decision to be made here. Laris Mabiala has an issue with an injury. Gio Savarese's got to choose between him and Bill Tuiloma. What's the difference between the two? How will it maybe change the way they play?
Yeah, well, I think Mabiala is going to be the obvious choice if he's healthy. He gives you a lot in terms of the physical presence. He's a tall guy. He wins everything in the air.
Scored a set-piece goal here in the summer.
He's got the most goals in MLS as a defender this year, which is amazing. I rate him. I get to see him train and play a lot, and so I think obviously he's the first choice. But Tuiloma, alternatively, what he does very, very well is he does have a lot of speed, and he also does a good job of switching the point of attack. When the ball goes back to him, he's got a really good long ball. So I'm very jealous because I never had that. So he just gets the ball, bam, switches the point of attack, and it's really good playing against teams who are really playing centrally and just getting that ball switched.
With the way Portland play, there's got to be some concern about that for Liam Ridgewell and the rest of the defense. We always talk about how important it is to be cohesive as a unit, understanding between the 4 players. So it's not just about the talent, it's also about the understanding and getting your mind right leading into the week of knowing who's going to be next to you.
Absolutely. As a center back, you want to have consistency. But the funny thing about Liam Ridgewell, it's like plug and play for this guy. Like, I remember when I came on the team initially, it was like I was used to talking, right? I was used to being the man, but I slid in next to him. He did all the talking. He got us up, got us back. Kept us in games, made the big plays. And then when he's on the ball, like, I was never that good as a center back with the ball at my feet, but you give him the ball, I think he's one of the best center backs in terms of passing out of the back in MLS. So, he's just one of those guys. It's just easy to play next to him. He's got so much of a good pedigree. He's played in England as well.
Yep.
And big games, big games don't mean much to him. He's just ready to go.
One of the things he's not is one of the fastest center backs in MLS. In fact, there's not a lot of speed on that Timbers back line. Against Joseph and Miguel Almiron. Does that mean you expect to see this Portland team sit in the deep block and just try to absorb and then hit on the counter that's been so good during the playoffs?
Yeah, that's a great point. Of course, they want to. I think their goal is to play a little bit more mid-block and defend higher up the field because they want to, push the game a bit, but at the same time, there are going to be times where they're going to have to bunker. But if it were me, I would make sure that I got a body on Joseph Martinez early. I checked his runs. I don't think center backs have been doing a good enough job of doing that all season. He's been lethal, obviously, clinical in the box. And then, obviously, you'd have to worry about Almiron and Diego Chara. I think that's going to be his role in this game.
I don't want to make a prediction for you here, but I do want to ask you, if the Portland Timbers are going to win this game, who is the X factor outside of the obvious? Outside of Diego and Sebastian and the guys we know, who will be the one to make that difference? And then I will ask for the prediction at the very end.
Of course, Jeff Attinella. I think Jeff has really had a good season thus far. Obviously, he had the blooper against Seattle, and people have talked about that. But other than that, he's been really solid all year. He's really worked on his feet this year. I think his distribution has been excellent. And he's come up big time in big-time games, and I think that's what you expect impact of your number one goalkeeper.
You didn't give me a prediction, I don't think. Maybe I
Okay,
missed
prediction.
it.
Yeah, absolutely. 2-0 to the Portland Timbers. I think they're going to sit in early, absorb some pressure. They're going to get out on the counter, score early in the first half. Everybody in Atlanta is going to be very upset.
I saw you glance over your shoulder there.
Yeah, I was like, where are those Atlanta United fans at? But I think, honestly, this team, they've played with house money, since they started. The pressure isn't on them in this game, and they are an excellent defensive unit, and I love that as a former defender.
All right, enjoy Atlanta United at home in MLS Cup.
Enjoy the game now.
Get to the elevator soon.
Yeah, enjoy the game. Watch out, there's a lot of Atlanta United fans out here.
Thanks.
All right, no Asados here in Atlanta, but there are a ton of Argentines on both sides. Susanna Collins explored that ahead of this game.
Saturday's 2018 MLS Cup final between Atlanta United and the Portland Timbers will carry a distinct Argentine flavor, with a combined total of 9 players on both sides and 1 head coach, all from Argentina. That head coach is none other than Gerardo Tata Martino, who has led Atlanta United to the final in only its 2nd season as a club. He's built a winning side thanks in large part to the countrymates he's recruited. Starting with winger Hector Tito Villalba, starting center back Leandro Gonzalez Perez, right back Franco Escobar, central midfielder Eric Remedi, and MLS record transfer signing teenager Ezequiel Barco.
Nosotros los argentinos lo vivimos como una final de Sudamérica, la verdad que es algo muy lindo jugar una final más que nada.
Si venís creyendo que la MLS es una liga menor, ahí es donde te equivocás y por ahí las cosas nos pueden salir también. Pero cuando venís acá y sabés que la liga es muy competitiva, que todos los equipos te dan pelea y te entrenás y estás siempre enfocado y tomás todos los partidos en serio, creo que los resultados van a ser positivos y bueno, ahí lo ves en la final, hay varios argentinos.
Atlanta's opposition in MLS Cup, the Portland Timbers, are also led by an Argentinian on the field, former MLS MVP Diego Valeri. He helped lure another goal-scoring countrymate to the club in the person of Sebastian El Chucky Blanco, while younger players Lucas Milano and Thomas Konechny are waiting patiently in the wings for their chance to shine.
It just makes me happy because, it's my 6th season, and I'm seeing it more and more Argentinian coming and bringing his quality, his talent, his passion, and that makes me so happy.
El argentino es un ser competitivo, es como un animal competitivo, quiere todo el tiempo ir por más y bueno, va y hoy ha demostrado, ¿no? Sus jugadores han sido importantes, no solo en las estadísticas, sino también en lo que dan dentro de la cancha. Entonces, para nosotros estamos muy felices de poder llevar a nuestro país lo más arriba posible y a dejar una marca importante.
La jerarquía que tiene Argentina es totalmente diferente, o sea, mejor dicho, el sudamericano. Entonces, eso es lo que hace diferente un equipo, creo.
And I think it's safe to say that the most legendary Argentine here tonight will be Atlanta manager Tata Martino, who announced in October that this will be his final season with Atlanta United. So no matter what happens, his final chapter will be written here tonight. And when you talk to the players from top to bottom, it's very clear that Tata Martino's legacy goes far beyond a trophy.
So I think that I've grown as a player under Tata. I think that the way we press and leave ourselves a little vulnerable sometimes in the back, one-on-one and on occasions, with open space is daunting for a defender, especially one my size, my age as well.
I think I've changed a lot. I think that I've become probably more of a thinking player than an action player. I think he's allowed me the opportunity to read the game, taught me how to read the game in that certain position and doing something tactically which I'd never done before. The movements, the style of play. I've changed a lot over the last 2 years.
Made me a better player, a better person, all these kind of things. I think the biggest thing for me is just, his sacrifices to win. That he's willing to do whatever it takes to win on the weekend. Yeah, he sometimes, in the media, he sometimes comes off as a guy that's not really happy that we didn't play great, but we won. But, in the locker room, he's still, he's pretty happy that we won.
Creo que el Tata deja mucho, aparte del campeonato de la conferencia, que
gracias a Dios pudimos lograr. Creo que le llevó al equipo de Atlanta en 2 años a pelear todo eso, cosa que ni los dirigentes se imaginaban que Atlanta iba a lograr.
Yeah, I think that he'll be loved forever. The fans love Tata. He's a favorite. You know, I think that his charisma on and off the field. You know, he's very good with the fans. He's invested into the community. To be able to take this club from beginning and put us so high so quickly. You know, the first year making the playoffs, having a home playoff game. The very next year, now we're hosting MLS Cup. You know, I know that we spend a lot of money and we've got a lot of talent, but it doesn't always translate. Toronto struggled for years and they had spent money. You know, you still have to go out there and you have to get it done on the field. And that we've done that, I think, will ingrain Tata forever in Atlanta United history, no matter the result on Saturday.
And obviously the legendary coach that Tata Martino is, when he arrived here in Atlanta, the players admitted they didn't know what to expect. And what struck them the most is that he has no ego. He wants to be everyone's equal and a part of the team. I think Greg Garza put it best when he said he's the kind of guy who will sit in the middle seat on a team flight. So there's no doubt here tonight that the players not only want it for themselves, for the city, this fan base, but also for Tata Martino. Guys?
Seat on flights. I'm a window guy through and through, but Tata Martino is a man of the people, and Bobby, history's going to be made no matter who wins this game.
Either Gio Savarese or Tata Martino will become the first head coach to win, having come from South America. And that's important to remember because in the history of Major League Soccer, there's only been one manager to win MLS Cup who didn't have extensive knowledge of the American soccer landscape prior to winning to that trophy, and that was Gary Smith with the Colorado Rapids, and who, Dan, you remember this, had an entire starting 11 of college-based guys who came through the system.
Gary Smith, different animal than Tata Martino or Gio Savarese, to be fair. But he did win a championship, and winning championships is very difficult.
No, but it speaks to Tata getting here and getting so comfortable so quickly. And it's not just Miguel Almiron and Joseph Martinez and the high-profile imports from South America. It's blending guys like Julian Gressel from the draft and Parkhurst and Lorenowitz and so on and so forth. He's done well with that.
He's gotten it all right. I mean, he doesn't really put too many steps in the wrong direction. He's got it has to be perfect, right? It has to be a perfect storm, a perfect soup with all the right ingredients. And Tata is such a good manager. He's such a good personable coach and just influence. He's got that calming influence, but he's also like your grandfather and your dad at the same time, and he puts his hand on your shoulder and you're like, okay, whatever you need. And I mean, and you can see that. You see the calm that he can exude, and you see that in his team, but it's also a group of young guys, to your point, that have taken on his role and his identity.
2014, LA Galaxy, what an incredible team. You win a championship. This team has the same opportunity. A little different age spectrum there.
Sure.
But similar in talent. Both teams loaded. When you look at Joseph and Miguel, at Tito, LGP, down across the board, the level of talent on this team, have you seen it before in MLS?
Wow. Good question. I thought our 14 team was a phenomenal team that was very well balanced, like we were talking about earlier. In order to win a championship, you have to put the right pieces in the right place and then give them the opportunity to win and go and do special things. And I think what Tata has done, he's allowed Miguel to be Miguel. He lines up in different spots all over the field. He stayed consistent with Joseph. Joseph is an emotional figure, so he gets frustrated at times. They feed on that, and the team feeds on that. And then what he's done on the other side, and you spoke to our 14 team, we had a ton of veteran leadership in the back, which is very important to have, and this team has that. And you look at the last 3 games in LGP and Parkey and Lorenowitz, those are 2 out of 3 very, very veteran-savvy guys, and they've played, in my opinion, better than anybody in the league across the board defensively.
Yeah, only 2 goals allowed in the playoffs so far. I think both were off of set pieces. That has to be something that they focused on this week in training, just defensively, right?
Yeah, set pieces have I would say, has never been their strong suit. Throughout the 2 years that Tata has been coaching, I think they focus on other things. They focus on keeping the ball on the floor, breaking teams down, and they're not the rough and tumble, get stuck in the box type of team, and that's who you have to be on set pieces. This Portland team has the ability to exploit that out of Atlanta United.
You were outside in the terrible weather with these fans.
Yes.
You know what today means to them. what would an MLS Cup win for Atlanta United mean for this city, for this club, for this fan base?
I think it means everything. I think it's an easy one to point to. The excellence that Darren Eales, Arthur Blank, Carlos Bocanegra from top down has demanded out of the organization has translated straight into the city, and now the city expects that. To set the bar as high as they've set it early on, a championship, it speaks to everything they've done up to this point, but it's also committed them to an excellence that I think the league has to be proud of as well. It's not just Atlanta, it's across the board, and in MLS, they've pushed this narrative just one step further.
That's why you're wearing a pocket square.
That's right.
A little bit of excellence there.
It'll get to you guys. It filters down.
Oh, okay. I got it.
I lost mine. I want you to know that. I lost mine.
Let's stay on the excellence theme. And we spent a ton of time talking about Joseph Martinez, Miguel Almirón, and their place in history in Major League Soccer. You played with Landon Donovan and Robbie Keane. You saw Josie Altidore, Joe Vinko up close. Some of these other great attacking tandems in history. Where do Martinez and Almirón rank?
I think they're up there at the top. They haven't won yet. So in order to really be up on the wall of excellence, you have to win. And those guys that you mentioned before, they've won. So in terms of a relationship, it's been special. I mean, everything they do is pretty spot on. Miguel Almirón, he speaks for himself. Joseph Martinez, he speaks for himself. So what they've done individually, then to corroborate and put it next to one another, it's nothing short of impressive. Landon and Kino, they just had that special something. They always saw each other. They always looked for each other, but they always saw and they knew what they were going to do next. These guys, they spend every minute off the field together, and they're two completely different people. Same way as LD and Kino, two completely different people, two completely different players, but those things complemented themselves so well, and I think that's what we see in Joseph and Miguel.
One thing that LD and Kino did was win. Just about every opportunity they had, they won.
Right.
Now, we know 28-3. That's just the second mention in this show. We're doing better than I thought we were going to do. But Atlanta
Be careful.
knows,
you might get a tomato tossed at your head.
They know heartbreak. I hope nobody heard that out there. Is there a feeling in the back of anyone's mind of what if? What if the other shoe drops? What if this doesn't go as planned and you have 70,000 people that have heartbreak yet again?
Yeah, I think an intelligent fan knows that, right? And they have to be cautiously optimistic. So there is certainly that, especially for this Atlanta City, this fan base that has gravitated towards this team. But, you know, we talked about Kino and LD who win at every opportunity. They're also playing alongside one another at a different age group than Miguel and Joseph. These guys are young. For all intents and purposes, this is a young team with a young attack, whereas our 2014 team, Jossie is the lone wolf on the young side. Everybody else is veteran leadership around him. So for them to be doing what they're doing right now, they've also felt, I think, the heartbreak of losing a supporter shield, which changes your perspective. It realigns what you're doing and puts the impetus and the influence on where you're headed very important. I think all these guys know how big of an opportunity this is.
What a huge chance for Atlanta United to break that. 1995, the Atlanta Braves, the last time here in Atlanta. Dan, thank you so much for joining us. We did a little bit of reminiscing with you. Right now, we're going to look back on MLS Cup's past.
Oh, boy.
Now Keane again. Donovan has done it. Landon Donovan. Here's Altidore now. Josie Altidore. Finally, it's what they've been waiting for. Toronto take control. Wonderful save. Diego Valeri is handed a gift. What a dream start for the Timbers. Look at that pass. Hey, look. Goal. Columbus. 3-1. One. Throws it across. All the way from Molnar. Tries to tip it up. He scores. Miklos Molnar. And he puts it over. He's got one hand on it. Ramirez again. He scores.
There Rosario looking for the long ball. He and Ibsen are the subs in San Jose. There Rosario going right at Caleb. The shot. Score!
22nd minute of overtime. Marshall, step behind the defense. Ruiz is in. Ruiz the shot. Ruiz. That's it. LA are the champions. One step beyond for Toronto as they crown the best season in MLS history.
Charlie Davies is with us now, putting us all to shame with a beautiful velvet jacket. Meanwhile, out in the stands, they're getting ready. 57 minutes and counting until the kickoff of MLS Cup. You know where to watch it by now. Fox, Unimas, TVA Sports, and TSN. Charlie, we saw some of those highlights there. One of them was the LA Galaxy lifting the cup.
Oh,
I'm sorry, we've done this to everybody who's walked in who's lost MLS Cup. You don't have to talk about that side, but your memories of your experience in this game.
I remember just how hot we were as a team. We turned it around at the end of the season. We came in hot. We were the hottest team scoring goals left and right. We had a great series versus Columbus Crew. And then the big series against Red Bull where we won on the road in the first leg, and in the second leg we were able to advance 2-2 with the result being 2-2. And then heading into LA Galaxy, into the StubHub Center was amazing. It was full, the passion, the energy. It's what you always dreamed of as a young player to play in a game like that. So for us, for me in particular, it was going into this game and thinking, wow, we can start a legacy here at New England to be that team to bring an MLS Cup trophy home, which was the goal. Unfortunately, we lost in extra time to Robbie Keane, who obviously was one of the best players to play in this league.
So often in these games, it's defined by the first 20 minutes. And I remember that game in particular. I think it was Robbie Rogers got forward from left back, a combination with Landon, and he was in, and Shuttleworth made a huge save. And that was like the only good chance the Galaxy had in like the first hour or so. Did giving up that early chance rattle you guys, or did it allow you to sort of like refocus and lock the game down a little bit?
When it happened, for me as a striker looking back, and you could see the whole play develop, and I'm seeing Robbie go down and have that combination play, and I'm thinking, oh man, this is it. This does not look good. You can see when a goal develops, and it looked like it was going to hit the back of the net. When Bobby made that crucial save, it kind of gave us a little bit of energy. It gave us some energy and a little bit of a wake-up call, and we thought to ourselves, okay, now let's focus. Let's get back to our game plan, which is staying compact and look to counter.
And that's going to be Jeff Atnell for the first 20 minutes right there.
Right.
That's what we were talking about.
Bobby asked a good question earlier about how you handle the first half hour or so of games like this. How do you handle them as a player? Is there less risk that you're trying to take? Do you eschew things that you would normally do because it just exposes you that little bit?
We did in 2014, it was, let's try and get comfortable. Let's get on the ball. Let's have a solid game plan. I think it also didn't work for us in the sense that maybe we were a little bit too defensive, a little bit too cautious, afraid to make that mistake, because you knew in the back of your mind if they got that early goal, it was done for us. It was going to be done. They were going to, keep coming with an onslaught with Robbie Keane, Landon, and so for us it was just, let's stay compact, defend, look to defend first, and if we get that counterattack, go. And I had an opportunity to go up 1-0, and De La Garza made a great tackle in the box, and that one still haunts me to this day when I think about that game.
I love that's how strikers think. They miss one, they're like, man, that defender, that was a great play by that guy.
Yeah, it was.
Always giving credit to the defense.
Abobasi. We know about Joseph. We know about Miggy. We have not talked about King Jabo nearly enough. When you look at his game, what he's brought in these playoffs, what is his strengths? What role can he play today?
Today is going to be extremely important for him to be able to hold the ball up. He's got to be strong. He can't lose possession. If he loses possession when they're defending like crazy, they lump it up to him. He's got to be able to hold on to the ball, be strong, spin defenders. Parkhurst doesn't want to defend you 1v1. So he's got to be able to take those chances where he can face up Parkhurst 1v1, turn, and run at him. That's where their weakness is for Atlanta. If you can run at their back line 1v1 and make something happen, they're going to need that from him today.
Do you think Abobas is going to come back to the ball then and try to release Valeri and Blanco through, or do you think Abobas is actually going to run the line a little bit and try to get behind that defense, or is it going to be a mix?
It's going to be a mix, but I think what's important for Portland today is seeing Abobasi run down the line and then spring into those channels. Be that release valve for Portland. And then it's important for him to hold up the ball there and get guys pulled out of position, get Parkhurst on the touchline, get Perez on the touchline. If he can do that and open up the space for Blanco,
and Valeri, that's where Atlanta's going to have a ton of problems, and then they got to be clinical.
All right, Charlie, we've enjoyed being with you during these playoffs. Thank you so much, man. Enjoy the game. Get out of here because you're putting us to shame.
Coat,
oh my God! And then
have you always worn velvet coats, or is this like an MLS Cup special?
No, it's one of my favorite jackets.
Yeah, swag.
It's a special occasion. They got to put it on.
Yeah, lots of swag. You know who else has swag? Waka Flocka. He is the #1 super fan for Atlanta United. Our own Jillian Sakovits caught up with him.
We wouldn't be at an Atlanta United home match without Waka Flocka. Waka, the chance for a title tonight. How are you feeling?
Nervous. I'm extremely nervous.
I don't see you nervous very often.
I'm like an imaginary coach. Like, I don't know, man. I feel like the energy when I first met him and just the atmosphere of Atlanta United, it made me feel like they was gonna win. Like they remind me of champions.
During the playoffs and during the regular season, you've been like the unofficial ambassador for Atlanta United. You traveled to New York with them. What has this all been like for you?
For me, it's actually been an experience for me. Like I never did this before. So to be honest with you, I was like a fan. I feel like I was like a #1 fan. More an ambassador, kind of feel like it's a job. This is passion. Like it's fun. I knew they'll win. I just knew it. Like, now you got them aches and them cramps in your body. Like we gonna win. Definitely. I ain't eat nothing all day.
If they win, what can I expect to see from Waka Flocka?
What you expect to see from Waka Flocka? The next level, more TV appearances, more stepping into the role model position. You know, more of the big brother.
And what type of celebration tonight should they lift that MLS Cup?
I'm losing my eyebrows tonight, big baby. And we're going down tonight.
What does Atlanta United have to do to get a shout out from Waka Flocka in your maybe your next release?
Nothing. It's already been done. It's already pre-recorded.
Oh, ooh. I want to listen to that. All right, Waka, well, thanks so much. Any predictions for tonight?
Yeah, my prediction is Portland going to come out fighting hard in the beginning. We're going to let them get comfortable and squash them.
Waka, thank you as always. Guys.
All right, thank you, Jillian. Yes, we have the lineups. Here's Atlanta United. It is basically what we expected. Martinez, Almiron, Gressel up top. Tito Villalba stays on the bench. Garza, Perez, Parkhurst, Escobar in the back in that midfield.
Are we going to call them liars again? Because this is what they've done for the past 5 weeks. They've put this out as a 4-3-3, but they've actually played in a 5-3-2 with Lorenowitz dropping back to that right center back.
Yep.
And Gressel will come inside. So I think look, and this is part of what makes this such an interesting tactical matchup, is Tata Martino can say, you know what, this is functional as a 4-3-3. Yep. It's also super functional and often devastating as a 5-3-2, Bobby.
Well, what's your percentage certainty that they're not playing the 4-3-3? Because we talked all week that, yes, they had their success in the playoffs by being more defensive, by playing 5 in the back, but they're at home now. And this isn't a home and away instance. This is one game. It's not only they have to win in one game, but they also have the emphasis as the home team to control the ball, to dominate a little bit. So I'm with you. I think it's probably the same 5-3-2 they've used throughout the playoffs, but I also wouldn't be surprised to see a 4-3-3 with the Lorenowitz at the base and actually Gressel and Almiron out wide.
I don't know if you heard that at home, but the Atlanta United fans just let out a huge boo for the Portland Timbers, who just took the field.
I thought they were showing Bobby's face on the big screen.
Bobby was out here taking selfies.
Bobby gets up in the middle of the show to take selfies with his fans. That's the type of man he is.
Wow. All right, we've got Sebastian Blanco coming up. We know he's going to be on the field. The big question mark, Laris Mabiala versus Bill Tuyoma. All right, let's talk matchups, guys. Bobby, what are you looking at? What's the matchup that everybody should be keyed in on in this game?
Well, Charlie Davies mentioned Jeremy Bobasi running at the Atlanta backline. I actually think it's a little bit different. I don't think it's going to be him getting on the ball and running at them 1v1. I think it's going to be his movement. Because we've been talking in the second half of the year, as long as he's been in the lineup, that he's the one to do the little things to create room for the other superstars on that team. So for me today, it's going to be Jeremy Bobasi pulling specifically Leandro Gonzalez-Perez either out of the left center back of the 3 or just next to Michael Parkhurst in the 2. Can he pull LGP out of the center back tandem so that somebody can attack that space?
Yeah, because if he gets to the side and if he's able to hold the ball up on the side, like Charlie was talking about, the defenders come to him. That opens up the central space is for Valeri, especially to come through, but also Diego Chara. Like we've seen Diego Chara.
And it is beautiful when that man goes forward.
Can I just show you what that looks like? Right here.
No, that's
right
not
here.
what it, no, that's not what it looks like.
Yeah,
no,
it's the pumping arms, man.
No.
What's your matchup to watch?
It's the left side of Atlanta versus the right side of Portland. So that's Garza versus Zarek Valentin. And Zarek Valentin's a good player, but he's been asked to do a lot this offseason in terms of really just defending against two people at once. Garza he's honestly the best attacking left back in MLS. He's going to get forward at all times, whether they're playing the 5-3-2 or the 4-3-3. And if they pull Zarek Valentin out to Garza, he's going to be able to combine with Miguel Almiron and Julian Gressel against Larius Mabiala, who's the right center back for Portland. And look, that's where all the goals Portland's given up in this postseason have come from.
That's spot on, Matt. Look for Atlanta to try and pull overloads near the corners of the 18, because for Portland, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you don't send somebody out, all of a sudden, it's an elite Atlanta attacker running you 1v1. If you do send a center back to help, then it's Joseph Martinez with a little more space to roam in the 18.
Am I taking crazy pills here? By the way, Atlanta just came on the field. They got the the train going.
That was my face. That was my face on the big screen. I get the train sound.
No, not at all. Because, come on, the matchup is Miggy Diego Chara.
Yeah.
That is the matchup of this game. The best attacking player, in my opinion, in this league, especially in open space, Miguel Almiron, against the best defensive player in open space in Diego Chara, because that man covers every single blade of grass. Whoever wins that matchup might win this game. What's it turn on?
That was okay. That was a solid point by Wiggy.
No, it was a solid point, because I do wonder if there's a little itch for Gio Savarese to maybe man-mark Miguel Almiron a little bit.
No.
Because,
no.
like, he hasn't done it a lot, but we've seen teams do that against Atlanta this year. Dax was up here before talking about how Chicago did that against Atlanta down the stretch a little bit.
Matt.
Hard no. All right, well, let's take a look at the lineup and see what Giovanni Savarese might be thinking on this one. He's got to stop that man, Joseph Martinez, and that is big, big news, guys. Larius Mabiala in the starting lineup. We said all week that he's a question mark here. That injury that he suffered, the lateral movement, was a question mark. Giovanni Savarese must have faith that he can do it.
That ankle must be all right, man, because, again, Zarek Valentin is going to get pulled up the field to deal with either Garza or Almiron flaring out wide. And when he flares up, that means Mabiala has to push out, and he has to make plays in space. It's a huge risk. But they obviously gave him a clean bill of health. Otherwise, he wouldn't be on the field in this game.
And we were curious, just in the same way we didn't know how Atlanta would set up their lineup or formation, we didn't know if Portland would tinker a little bit and go to three at center back, because that's what they did the last time they played here back in summer, and they got a 1-1 draw. Obviously, they're not doing that today. The other reason that they might have tried to squeeze Mabiala into the lineup, and you mentioned earlier in the show.
Set pieces. He's a monster in the air. Ridgewell's a monster in the air. Abobasi's very good in the air as well. You could argue those three guys are better in the air than anybody on Atlanta United. If Portland's going to win this game, I think it's going to come from a set piece.
Specifically the back post.
Yeah.
Watch that back post. Both
second ball flick on, yeah.
Yep.
All right, that's a big storyline in this game. Liam Ridgewell, as Nat Borchers said, is going to have to lead that line. David Goss caught up with him.
Liam, you've done this before. MLS Cup on the road. What was the vibe like this week, just now coming over on the bus, compared to 2015?
Yeah, maybe it was a little bit louder. We didn't walk through the stadium last time when we came here. We went straight to the training room, so it was nice, good feel to it. Just looking forward to it now. It's just one thing, you just want to get going. Don't even want to do a warm-up, you just want to get straight into the game.
Fortunate news, Larius Mabiala is going to be ready to go. Your partnership, what do you guys have to do to slow this Atlanta attack?
Yeah, obviously we've been performing very well, keeping clean sheets and slowing strikers down. And, Martinez has been absolutely outstanding this season, but looking forward to the challenge, looking forward to coming up against him. And as long as we can nullify any balls going into him, that's the start of it.
What's the keys been from Gio for this one?
Get into him. It may be their house, but we'll turn it into our house and enjoy it. We're in the final, an MLS Cup final, with no one thought we'd never been here. So we're looking forward to it, enjoy it, and go and win it.
Not just the final. Record crowd that's going to be in here, 72,000. You said you're ready to go. What's that experience going to be like?
Yeah, it's amazing. I think anyone that's not experienced it before is going to be a first time. And like I said before, it's going to be the first team that settles down quicker, gets settled into the game, gets on the ball. And we're looking to do that to try and shut this crowd up and make sure our crowd is singing.
Thanks so much. Thanks for the time. Back up to you guys.
Liam Ridgewell is so damn cool and so confident, and that matters on a day like today. That's the guy you want in your locker room on an occasion like this to just say, what, there's fans here? No big deal.
Bobby was a nervous wreck before the show.
Nervous wreck.
Oh, man. No Liam Ridgewell is Bobby Warshak. Greg Garza, we talked about him earlier. He is a key for Atlanta United, getting forward, getting to the attack. Jillian Sakovits caught up with him.
Greg, you guys just took that final spin on the bus, a chance to leave here as champions. What's the mood?
It's already a packed house. It's crazy. Still have a couple hours until game time, and the amount of people that are already in the stadium, it's unreal.
What's the vibe amongst the guys?
We're ready. We're ready. I think it's that initial song right before the game. We're ready. We ready.
You've talked a lot about how much Tata Martino has meant to you, knowing that it is his final game with Atlanta United. Why has he meant so much to you?
I think just as a player perspective, just his honesty and his humbleness throughout these last 2 years, and hopefully we can leave a legacy to his name here in Atlanta.
Finally, let's talk about Portland. They had to knock off all higher seeds to get here and some big wins on the road. What concerns you most about their game?
They're here for a reason. They have a team that is fighting for a championship just as us. They have some talent up front and some guys that can do some danger, so hopefully we can be on our top level and not let that happen.
Greg, thanks and good luck. Guys?
Oh my, what a fade that is from Greg Garza. He definitely got a fresh cut before this game. You got it. It's the biggest game of your career, perhaps.
Yeah, I got a fresh haircut.
You don't got any of that. You don't got any of that. Here is that Atlanta lineup, juggernauts for a lot of this regular season. They've switched up a little bit who they are, but this is their opportunity. This is their first team. There are no excuses.
This is. We think it's going to toggle between a 4-3-3 and a 5-3-2, and formations matter, but what matters more is Atlanta's going to have most of the ball. They're going to be the protagonists in this game, so expect them to come way upfield, have to carry the game. It should, from their point of view, look a lot like that first leg against the Red Bulls, except as Nat Porter's pointed out, Bobby, Portland's a lot better defending like that than the Red Bulls were.
They are better at it, and I think one of the low-key variables in this game, guys, is going to be the general mood of the fans. If this game gets to the 60th minute, the 70th minute, and Atlanta United aren't winning, what is this crowd going to do? Because if they get quiet, if they get a little anxious, players in the field can feel that. And these guys, these fans behind us, these men and women, are going to have a big say in how this game is played.
All right, the clock is ticking down. We are very close to the 23rd MLS Cup. What have we been doing this week? Well, we've been collecting predictions. Here's what everybody thinks is going to go down.
I think the game's going to be very competitive.
Portland has always found a way to stay in a match and be competitive.
I like to pull for brethren from the Pacific Northwest.
It'll be interesting. Me being a Seattle player, I can't really root for Portland. I hate them, and I hope they lose.
I think 2018 MLS Cup will go down as one of the most lopsided MLS Cups.
I think the game is going to be a lot closer than some people are giving them credit for. Roger Levesque.
My prediction for the game, Atlanta winning 3-0.
My prediction tomorrow is Atlanta beating Portland 2-0.
Atlanta playing at home in front of a record-breaking crowd for MLS, attendance-wise in the MLS Cup final. I think they pull it out, and it's going to be a 2-1 victory. That would be my guess.
I believe that the 2018 MLS Cup champion is going to be Atlanta United. I think I'm a little selfish in my viewpoint because we benefit from it, but ultimately I think that they're the best team, not only this matchup, but throughout the whole season.
I predict that the game ends in a 1-1 draw and Portland Timbers are victorious on penalty kicks.
I think Atlanta finishes the season off and sends Tata Martino off to a different pasture. I'm not going to say a better pasture, but a good result.
Yeah, the odds, according to 538, heavily favor the Five Stripes, and a lot of our folks are saying Atlanta United. Now it is our turn to make our thoughts known on this game. I'm going last. I'm going to see what you two say and then react off of it. But Bobby, we're starting with you. Predictions, and who's the MVP?
I'll start by saying, and I'll just get this straight out there, if I had to put my house on this game, I would take Atlanta United. I think it's the safer assumption.
What if you had to put Weeby's house?
If I had to put Weeby's house, I do think there's a very, very strong case to be made for the Portland Timbers.
Have a child, Bobby.
The fact that they can sit deep, the fact that they don't have any pressure, and actually, as I just mentioned, I do think the general feeling of this crowd might end up weighing on Atlanta United at some point. So I do think I will take the Portland Timbers with Sebastian Blanco being the MLS Cup MVP, because just like I started off the show, there's going to be a special moment moment, and Blanco is the most likely one to do it.
He says he wants people to be brave on the field. Well, that's a brave prediction, Doyle. You going to be that brave?
No, Bobby lives on the edge. I do not live on the edge. I live right in the middle, and I think the odds makers are right. Atlanta are strong favorites to win the Cup because they're at home, because they had 69 points this season, because they scored 70 goals in back-to-back seasons, and because they have the league MVP in Joseph Martinez, and he has once again looked like the league MVP in these playoffs. I think he gets a brace. I think Atlanta win 3-1. They make it look comfortable. And then the after party gets uncomfortable for everybody.
Thanks for stealing all my airtime, guys. It's Miguel Almiron. Joseph may have won the MVP, but this might be Miggy's last game. It is his turn on the big stage. It's his turn to get all the praise. It's his turn to go on that field and get the flames up in front of him after
Bobby's
a couple
going to
goals.
win after party MVP.
All right. I got Atlanta United in this one. Turn to Big Fox or Unimas in the U.S., TVA Sports, and TSN in Canada. The 23rd MLS Cup is just under 38 minutes away. Thank you so much for hanging out with us here on MLS Cup Central. For everybody involved, for Doyle, for Bobby, our producer, all the cameramen, everybody here, thank you for watching. I'm Andrew Wiebe. Enjoy the game, everybody.